So two little boys, right? So they're both from struggling families. These are families that hover just above the poverty line. Sometimes they dip into poverty. These are families that have begun to fracture, split apart. These are families in which there is constant stress. The first little boy goes to school in which he feels lost and alone. He has to travel a long distance to get to school. By the time he gets there, he's exhausted. There's the stress and strain of childhood trauma, and the breakup of his family has amplified his sense of isolation. He slowly starts to drift away, and his performance in school reflects as much. Now, at this particular school, in every grade, there is, three-tiered system. There is an advanced class, there is regular class, and then there is what all the kids call the slow class, but which is in fact the remedial class. This little boy is taken from the regular class without any explanation as to why this is happening and put into the remedial class. No one tries to reach him. No one tries to help him. They give up on him. Now, the second little boy has many of the same issues as I just laid out. But beginning on his first day, I think in 4th grade, new school, and from then on, he gets nothing but straight A's. He performs at the top of his class. He excels as a kind of student leader. He's president of his class, president of several clubs. He becomes a excellent student athlete. By the time he makes it to high school, still performing at the top of his class, the district sends someone to test IQs to see if they have any gifted and talented kids in the school. The second little boy and tests high enough on the test that he is considered to be gifted and talented. Only 2 kids in that school, another boy in an older grade. The district decides that it is important that they get proper education for their skill level, so they send a separate teacher once a week just to teach the 2 kids. The second little boy wins his way to the International Science Fair. He graduates valedictorian of his class and goes on to college with a scholarship. Now here's a kicker. Those are the same kids. And both of them are me. Right? And what is the difference for me? Going from being placed in a remedial class in one school to being considered to be gifted in another school. The difference was the schools themselves, and the teachers in those schools. Let me tell you the first person that breaks this cycle. It is the first day of that 4th grade class. Her name is Mrs. Thomas. Now, Mrs. Thomas is this little firecracker woman, probably like this big. She has these big glasses that are set wider than her face. They're just complete circles, like something out of a cartoon. And she has this thin little slit of a mouth that she keeps well lined with red lipstick every single day. And the first day of class, I'm sitting in the back, which is where, I don't know why this happens. That's where all the new kids sit. So you're sitting in the back of the class, and I'm just kind of slumped and disappearing and don't want to be seen. And she gives us a math test. And I don't know if it was nerves or whatever it was, but I jot down the answers to the test, and I realized I'm first to finish. And I walk up to hand in the test. And she looks at me with this incredible, broad, approving smile. And she says, "Whoa, Blow, we're going to call you Speedy Gonzalez. Now, today we all know that was really racist cartoon, right? Like all the other Mexican mice were like really slow and lethargic, and they drank. And there's one mouse, Speedy Gonzalez, who was really fast, never drank on television, and he went out, did the work, and got the cheese for the rest of the mice. So we now know this is horrible, but back then that's what we watched, racist cartoons. So she says, we're going to call you Speedy Gonzalez. And she reaches over and she grabs me. She hugs me. She pulls me close. And she steadies the paper with one hand. And she begins to grade the paper with the other. And I got most of them right. Not all, but most of them right. But it was such a transformational moment for me because I had never had a teacher who even looked at me like they cared what kind of grade I got. No one had ever smiled. No one had certainly ever touched me that I could recall. I thought that I was invisible. And that this teacher was the first person who took the time and the energy to see me because I had performed. And in my, fourth grade mind, I said, if this is what it takes for people to see me, I will forever be seen. I will always be the first to turn in the test, and I will always get most of them, not all of them, right. And that's what I did from that moment forward. And it was just a transformational moment. And I tell you that because I want to underscore the power that educators have to really touch kids, particularly kids like me, the vulnerable ones, the ones on the edges, from the stressful homes, from the poverty. But you have that opportunity every day in your classrooms to make sure that those children know that you care. And there were other differences between these two schools. One was that the first school was much larger than the second school. There were more students, there were more classes, people shuffling around. In the second school was a much smaller school, although everybody, pretty much, in the second school was poor. But the class sizes were so small that the teachers got to know each and every student. And there was no advanced and slow classes. Everybody was in the same class, learning at the same rate, and the teachers had a chance to go and deal with each student on their level, but no student had to carry the stigma and shame of being shunted aside. The other thing about the second school was that the teachers seemed to be more experienced and more seasoned. They were all older. They had learned from their own experiences how to deal with children who were under stress. They had learned from their, in the teacher's lounge. I don't know what you guys do in that teacher's lounge. I always imagine that it's something, there's like a chandelier and there's champagne, and I don't know what's it. But they had gone into this teacher's lounge and they had learned from other teachers about how to reach it, and they kind of got together and they would powwow about this person's struggling. How do we reach him? You had him last year. You may have him next year. And they would deal with it because they had the experience to be able to deal with it. And, perhaps most importantly was the first thing that I mentioned, which is that they just seemed to show a genuine interest in us as kids and in us being successful. It was almost as if our success was their success. And this was before they were being, evaluated on such a thing. It was genuine that they wanted us to succeed because it reflected well on them having succeeded in the classroom. And these somewhat intangible, untestable traits, caring and nurturing, are crucial to students later in life feeling happy and fulfilled as citizens and as human beings. A report in May by Gallup and Purdue University asked college graduates several questions about their college tenures, including the following 6. I had at least one professor who made me feel excited about learning. My professor cared about me as a person. I had a mentor who encouraged me to pursue my goals and dreams. I worked on a project that took a semester or more to complete. I had an internship or a job that allowed me to apply what I was learning in the classroom. I was extremely active in extracurricular activities and organizations while attending college. Students who strongly agreed with these statements were as much as twice as likely to have a strong sense of well-being and engagement at work after college. Now, some of these are specific to college life, but I believe that some of them are universal educational traits. Students need to feel connected, both to their teachers and their work. They need to feel that someone believes in them.